How's it going with you? Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted. There you go.
Yes, it's going well. I'm excited for this. Just kind of started to try to post more, so I feel like this is the perfect timing for this.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. Yay! Hey, Kat. Hey, Ben.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Kat? I heard you speak up a little bit. Want to give you the space.
Oh, thank you. I'm doing pretty good lately. Feeling much better. For
Yeah,
those that don't know, I am pregnant, so finally out of the first trimester mess. So feeling better.
yeah. I'm so glad to hear it, and thanks so much for taking the time to show up today for the training. I'm super glad you're here. Yay!
Thank you.
Absolutely. How's it going, Ben?
What's up? It's going so good. Just had an amazing weekend. And by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you, and to you as well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying a great day being back in my place for living out of my suitcase. And yeah, excited to be here. And yeah, love that we're all showing up early to just receive the gifts that come from you and blessings.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Ben is actually the only person in this room that I actually know in person. Yeah, my
Cool.
neighbor. Right down the road. Hey, Alexis. Good to see you. How are you doing today? Doing good. Nice. Love it. We have people tuning in from all over today. I know Brandon and Rima are in Costa Rica. Ben and I are here in Hawaii. Alexis is in Utah. Kat, where are you at again? Are you in
I'm in Virginia, so East
Virginia?
Coast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Definitely. We have that connection too. So cool. Hey Megan, welcome in. Welcome in. Let us know how you're doing if you have a chance. How are you doing today?
I'm uh, I'm really good. Happy to be here. Thanks for hosting this, Grace.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you're here too. Woohoo. Cool, Alexis. I see your message that you won't be able to turn your mic on for now. All good. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna probably have a couple more trickling in over the next couple of minutes, but I want to go ahead and dive in so we can go ahead and get started on time today. Super excited you're all here. Congratulations for reserving your spot in this room and showing up for yourself and your business. It really says a lot about your commitment to the vision that you hold, that you want to see unfolding in the future for not just your own personal life, but also for the people that you get to impact through the work that you do. So I really, really want to congratulate all of you for being here and for showing up and committing to this vision that you are growing every single day. So I first off want to start by really establishing the fact that it is my desire and my intention for us all to cultivate a very safe space with each other throughout the next 2 days. This is not a hustle culture environment. I really, really encourage us to dig deeper into the emotional layers, the vulnerable layers that really make us human, because it's from that place that we can actually build a business and market our services in a way that is truly aligned with who we are and the impact that we want to make for the people that we are connecting with. So I really encourage you guys to check in with yourselves along the way as we go. Not everything that I share is going to resonate with you, but you never know what might activate that light bulb moment. So I encourage you to also lean in and stay present, leaving whatever doesn't serve you, whatever doesn't connect with you, and then just paying attention to the little whispers or the loud whispers that are like, hey, pay attention to this piece. Hey, pay attention to this. So that being said, housekeeping stuff. Make sure that you have some way to take notes, whether you are a digital note taker or you are a pen and paper note taker. Make sure that you guys have a glass of water, some kind of refreshment. We are going to take a break, but we are going to be really leaning into this space together. So I want to make sure you guys are all set up, ready to go. Does anyone need a second to get a glass of water or anything like that? Or are we all kind of good to go? All right, sweet. You guys came prepared. I love it. So over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, we are going to be going into some really powerful techniques that I use within my business and I also implement with my clients to develop a more intentional and healthy relationship with social media so that you can find your community, your tribe, your ideal client, your people in this space in a more authentic, intentional form. So we're also going to be talking about, the mindset, the organization piece when it comes to content creation, how to show up confidently in your content on social media so that you can connect to the people who you want to speak to while also having fun and being playful and staying consistent as well so that we can continue to grow and make that impact without feeling the stress and the chaos of what it means to be a content creator, especially if you have other strengths in the work that you're doing. And content creation and social media is like a tough point for you. I'm going to be going over some techniques that really help me stay consistent without having to put in a ton of time and energy into it. So I'm really excited to share that with you. Again, like I mentioned, I really encourage you guys to lean in because even if some of this seems familiar to you, all of us are coming in at different places in our business. So some things might seem super simple to you or basic or like something you may or maybe already know, but I encourage you to lean into that because you never know the different perspectives you can gain on something that you've already implemented or something that you're already doing that might actually change the game for you. And same thing, if it's something that is brand new to you and maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed, I invite you to lean in and again, take what is serving and leave what is not. I highly encourage you guys to stay in alignment with what works best for you. So before we begin, I would love to share with you guys a little bit of backstory on how I created the Radiant Presence Mastermind. If that's okay with you guys. Can I get a little thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, sweet, awesome. I'm so excited. So ever since I was a kid, like 10 years old, I always knew that I wasn't here to walk the same conventional path that my parents walked or that everyone around me seemed to be walking. I knew that I was different, and from a young age, I was already creating videos just for fun and putting them out on the internet. And this was like before this was a big thing, and everyone's like, how do you know how to do that? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just doing it, right? So by the time I was 13, I got my first job doing photography and building websites. And from this point on, I just continued to freelance doing that type of work. I ended up going to school for marketing, and after not even a year, I ended up dropping out of school because I was so out of alignment with the coercive and manipulative tactics that were being taught. And I just knew there has to be a better way to do this. Like, I love content creation because I love having fun. I love online business. I love entrepreneurship because I know that we can make a huge impact in this field in this way. And so I left school and I started just getting my own clients and figuring it out along the way. So I had a lot of space to test new things out that I didn't see anyone else doing at the time. I'm also a manifesting generator, so this entire time I'm wearing a lot of hats. I was selling my artwork, traveling around the country to festivals and events and networking. I was also running an affiliate marketing business and doing social media content creation for different brands as well. And it was actually through my affiliate marketing business where I was actually teaching and coaching a team on how to run their affiliate marketing businesses that I realized how passionate I am. I really, truly am about lifting up other entrepreneurs to bring those visions, those dreams into a reality and to really connect with the people who actually need what they're offering. So through that experience, I ended up creating the Radiant Presence Mastermind because I knew that I could bring together all of the resources, all of the experience that I have gained over the past, over 10 years of just trial and error, figuring out different techniques that rely primarily on attraction, authenticity, vulnerability, and real connection with people through social media to make that positive impact with online business. I knew that I could package it all together in a way that is cohesive and connective and really, really helps people see those results in their business while staying in true alignment to the vision. So that is why I created this mastermind. And thank you so, so much for being here, a part of this journey, because the fact that you guys are here is allowing me to do my soul work, my soul passion work. And because you're here, I get to also support you, hopefully in that expansion within yourself as well. So I'm super excited you're here. And I've kind of gathered from my calls with all of you that this is an incredible group of entrepreneurs. You guys are doing amazing work. And that is what it's all about. That is truly what it is all about for me, lifting up other entrepreneurs like you so that we can continue to make more and more and more and more positive change in the world. Whether you're a virtual assistant or you're a holistic, healer, or you're an artist, like regardless of what realm you are doing that work, you are doing important work. And I just want to celebrate you guys all for that. I imagine most of you guys had some inkling of this dream from an early age. You maybe kind of always knew that you were here to do more than the conventional path. You've tried different things, probably, and you've always been looking to find a sense of connection and freedom in the work that you do. And you've probably ended up finding yourself a little unfulfilled, confused, burnt out along the way, trying out different things. And ultimately, you just know that you want to work for yourself. You want to own your own business. You want to have that freedom and that impact because it's the way that you do things that is unique and special and impactful for your clients, for the people who you want to reach. And you've found yourself successful. I mean, you've found yourself in fulfillment with what you do once you found it along the path, right? Because we all have to try different things to get to that place of clarity. But maybe you still find yourself feeling burnt out when it comes to social media, when it comes to running your business, because there's so many pieces of the puzzle. You are working for yourself, so you are wearing all the hats. And maybe you end up still feeling burnt out at the end of the day. But either way, you've had successes along the way. And now you're at the place where you want to learn at the next level. And the good news is that you're in this room today and we get to celebrate and go into that together. Because you know that in order to grow and change, you have to be open to the possibility of change. So over the next 2 days, you guys are not going to leave here with a giant checklist of things to do. We're actually going to be implementing together on the training so that we can get you closer to where you want to be. So how does that sound for you guys? How are you feeling? You can drop a 333 in the chat if you're still with me, if you're feeling pumped, if that resonates with you, and we can dive in. All right. Oh my gosh, it's 12:12 p.m. here. I don't know if you guys are into angel numbers, but 1212 is a very activating number as well. So amazing. We're exactly on time. So we're going to start off today with a little breakout room. And this is an opportunity for you guys to check in with each other and actually get to know who's in the room. Who are we sharing space with? So 1 second, I'm going to just get everyone split up into the rooms. And when you get into your breakout room, we're going to be sharing a couple of things. First, you want to share who you are, what work do you do, And then secondly, you're going to share what you are looking to get out of this event. What are you most excited for the next 2 days? Okay, so let's see. Let me just make sure everyone will be in a room with each other. We will have 10 minutes. So just make sure when you do get into the room together. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Woohoo! All right. I would love it if one person from each group would like to unmute and share a little bit about what you guys talked about. What was your group most excited about for the event? What kind of, creatives, entrepreneurs did you have in your group? One person from each group, feel free to just unmute and share.
Hey, what's up? This is Ben. I just shared a summary so I can just carry on the wavelength. Yeah, I really like the people in my group. I felt that there was a similar theme for like sustainable sharing of what excites us, but also like the discipline of that. And yeah, like in our group, we were just reflecting how much creativity was present and the shared desire to release that creativity in a way that's not draining, in a way that feels like easy, in a way that's can reach more people, and yeah, in a way that can be like metabolized also from a place of authentic truth.
That's so beautiful. What a great way to put all of that too, Ben. So good with words. I love it. Thank you for sharing. That's so juicy. Okay, the other group, somebody who would like to share and unmute.
I'll share. We all kind of talked about the same thing. It was nice to see that everybody all seemed creative. So that was really fun to connect on. We all seem to want to reconnect with ourselves and find something more enjoyable about social media and just find that creativity again and like really niche down into it.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's really powerful what can happen when you kind of bring that creativity and that structure together with so much clarity that you become unstoppable in the mission that you are creating and nurturing. So very cool. I love to hear everyone's kind of in the same flow, looking for the same things. And that just makes this event so much more powerful and impactful when we are all coming together with that shared vision. So super cool. Thanks for sharing, guys. I'm glad that you guys had a chance to get to know each other a little bit more too. So I want to take us into an exercise because a lot of us are here because we are creatives and we are entrepreneurs who want to make an impact on the world, but we get caught up in getting stuck on things, especially when it comes to social media, right? So I want you guys to take a moment to reflect and drop in the chat, how do you currently feel emotionally, physically in your body when you post on social media? How do you currently feel when you post on social media? What comes up for you in your heart and in your body? And then when you have it, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Some anxiousness. Yeah, that's very real. Feel excited yet doubtful if it's the right content to be sharing. Exhilarated. There's this like excited, anxious energy I'm picking up on from you guys with this. Feeling good when you just make the video and post it. So when there's not a lot of overthinking about it, sounds like Brandon for you. Like when you just feel good and you post it, that's the sweet spot. Ben feels excited, aligned, attached to approval, refreshed, ready for more. Kritika, critical, perfectionistic. Yeah. there's this sense of feeling like you have to. Other times it's super fun, depends on the post, 100%. Sometimes feeling like I'm just posting something random, not in alignment with the business and the CTA. Feeling like you want to know more and move from there. Okay, this is all brilliant and beautiful. Thank you all for sharing, because there's so many layers sometimes to the emotions. Like sometimes it does feel exciting because we've got this spontaneous burst of creative energy and then we just roll with it and it's like, yes, this is what I want to be doing. And then other times it's like, oh my God, I'm looking at my feed. I haven't posted in like 2 weeks. I don't know what to say. I feel like I need to post something, like, but it's been so long. What should I even say, right? And we can get in our head about it. So I want you guys to, again, tune in, think about what you just shared, or feel what you just shared, and envision, how do you want to feel when you post on social media, when you're creating content? How do you want to feel in your body, in your heart, in your mind, even? And then when you have that, go ahead and share it in the chat as well. Want to feel at peace, regulated, and confident that you are calling in the women who are destined to work with you. I love it. Clear clarity. Feeling aligned, excited, proud, grateful that you get to share valuable information with people. Absolutely. Want to feel free. Oh, so good. So good. Understood, seen, helpful, regulated. Regulated is a big one that's coming up, like nervous system regulated, feeling that clarity, feeling that alignment. Beautiful, you guys. So as we go through the training today and tomorrow, I want you to keep coming back to this. How do you want to feel? Because this is going to be your North Star guiding light for you to understand what is actually in alignment with what I want to create. So if you have your notes pulled out, you could even write this at the very top of your notes. This is how I want to feel. That way, as we're going through everything, you can tap in, check in. Will this allow me, this exercise, this template, this tool, this perspective, will this help me access this feeling? And maybe there's resistance that also comes up with it. So I want you guys to be aware of that as well. When we start to lean into the things that we really, really want, oftentimes we meet resistance. And there's, many different layers of why that might happen. But check in, see if you can go a layer deeper and a layer deeper and a layer deeper, move past that resistance and truthfully ask yourself, is this going to help me get to my next level? And then take what works and leave what doesn't, okay? So how do we feel? How do we actually feel more confident, more free, more aligned, more regulated when we're creating content on social media? It all starts and begins with your intention, your mindset, and your boundaries when it comes to social media and just the online space in general. So I'm curious, who in here has experienced comparison or imposter syndrome while using social media? Whether you're just scrolling or you're creating content or you're in your workflow, you can raise a hand, you can drop it in the chat. Who has experienced imposter syndrome in comparison? Yeah, looks like pretty much everyone in this room, me included, right? It's such a common thing to experience this as we have access to so many different highlight reels of people's lives and experiences. Even like the level of vulnerability that people are posting can sometimes be a trigger of like, why can't I show up that way, right? So I want you guys to also reflect on when you experience comparison. What are the main things, the main qualities that you tend to compare yourself to? Is it how much money somebody is making in their business? how much beauty they have, their talent, their success? Is it the way that they're showing up, the way they're communicating in their videos, that confidence? What kind of qualities do you notice about the people or the things or the content that you compare yourself to? And when you guys kind of have a couple of things brewing, I'd love to see if you can share in the chat some of the things that come up for you. Because it's so common to look at other people and look at other people's content and their lives and all these things and go, oh, I wish I had that. Even if it's on a deep subconscious level and you just feel kind of icky after you've been on social media for a little bit. It's so important that we recognize these qualities that we are comparing ourselves to in someone else. We already have access to those qualities within ourselves. And the real reason that we are getting hit with that comparison or that imposter syndrome is because we are blocking ourselves from accessing those qualities or from seeing those qualities within ourselves. And so there's this part of you that's like, oh, I crave that, because you're not giving yourself access to it. And there's so many reasons why we might do this, right? There's a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of vulnerability, so many different things. Check in with the chat here. Some of the things you guys get a little bit triggered by: experience in the field, engaging, real, consistent, knowledge, creativity, ideas, engagement, beauty, lifestyle, success, high quality and creativity of their content, consistency and clarity, engagement, success. Okay, talent, experience. So all of these things you all have within yourself. Can you guys see that as you're typing it out and as you're reflecting on it? Like, you already have these things. If it's experience, you know, that's something that we could very much externalize and say, well, they have the credentials, they have the years of experience. I don't have that. When in reality, you have the experience of your own story. You have the experience of your own lifetime. It may be a different experience than what they have, but it is your own. And creating from that place, teaching from that place, leading from that place is so much more powerful than going and saying, hey, this person does really good, I'm going to get a certificate from them in the way they do it. That can be super powerful as well. And I'm not knocking certifications or, you know, learning from other people at all. I think it's very powerful. But at the end of the day, it is your own personal experience, your own personal story that is going to connect with people in a way that nobody else can. You already have access to that success that you're looking for within yourself. You already have access to that ability to explore, that consistency, the clarity of the message. Sometimes it is just a subconscious limiting belief that is kind of blocking the energy and saying, hey, we can't go further because we don't have the experience, we don't have the talent, we don't have the consistency, we don't have the quality that this other person is creating from. But you guys already have access to that within you. Sometimes it just isn't as clear and easy as just giving yourself that reminder, but sometimes we can just run with that reminder of, hey, I'm catching myself in that rut again. I'm catching myself in the comparison. I'm catching myself in the judgment. What is it about this thing I'm judging myself on? Okay, can I see that I have access to that within myself right now? What evidence can I pull from within myself that I have already created this, that I am on my way, that I'm putting in the effort, right? But when it's not that clear and it's not that easy, because even if you consciously recognize that you hold those qualities that you desire, subconsciously you may be running with the same lack-based programming that you've received in the past, which is blocking you from taking that action. So this can lead to comparison in all areas of life, not just social media, but social media can be a trigger, revealing that deeper truth of insecurity and fear. And this can be scary to look at, but in my opinion, this is a gift. And this is a simple reframe that we can work on to see these moments of trigger as powerful information, powerful data that actually shows us where we might be lacking confidence in ourselves. And instead of beating ourselves up about it, let's lean in and get curious. So, for example, you can take any insecurity and turn it into a strength. And that's why it's important to recognize, where are the gaps? Where am I feeling triggered in this moment? And how can I lean into that in a way that honors the emotional experience and also allows me to transmute what I am experiencing as well? So, if your insecurity is, I just don't know what I'm doing on social media. I post and I don't get any views, I don't get any engagement, I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. That can actually be a strength. I don't have a lot of experience with social media, which means I have a clear space to experiment, come up with new ideas, and innovate. It might take me more time to get to where this person is, but I have the freedom to experiment, because you aren't like inundated with other people's ideas. So that's one way to take that weakness or that insecurity and turn it into a strength. Maybe your insecurity is, I have imperfect skin, or I'm not comfortable with my body, right? That is actually a strength, because when you show up vulnerably with your bare skin, with your body in all of its beauty, people who value authenticity will magnetize to your content, because you are showing up real when you show your bare skin, when you show up with your body, and all of its beauty as it is. So any insecurities that we're facing can always be transmuted into a strength. Can you guys see how you can start to kind of reframe that as you move through comparison and imposter syndrome? Is this resonating with you guys so far? Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's not always easy. And this is a practice. Like anything else, when it comes to the emotional, mental, dynamics that we face as human beings, because we are all real humans with real human emotions, even though we are functioning through a screen and technology right now. Like, we each have our own real emotions. So we have to practice this. And it's important to note that some days, some weeks, some months, this is going to be so easy. And some days, some weeks, some months, it's not going to be as easy. And so that's why we continue to show up, even when it is easy, so that when it's hard, we know what to do. We have established the pathways. So when it comes up, when it feels hard, you're like, okay, I know what to do. I can reframe this. I have the resources. I got this. And we can move forward. I wish that there was some easy fix for overcoming imposter syndrome, but there honestly isn't. The truth is, it is a practice that we have to be with every single time it comes up for us, every single time we post on social media. So, especially now, more than ever, it's also important to recognize the fact that people want to authentically connect and see you for who you truly are on social media. Because when they see you expressing your true authentic self, even if that true authentic expression is, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, I have a pimple on my face right now, like I don't want to show up on camera, but here I am, and I'm just going to do it because I have a mission, because I have a vision, and you're honestly even sharing that insecurity, people are going to have the opportunity to see themselves within your experience. And that's the goal. That's the goal when we're looking at connecting with people through these online spaces. We really want to connect with people through our own stories, through our own personal experiences, because then they can see themselves in us as well. And there's that connection. For so long, social media has been highlight reels of people's lives, experiences, success, amazing things happening in their lives. And it has made us hungry for real, authentic, deeper connections with each other. Would you guys agree with that? Do you feel like you've experienced in your own personal life, like social media came out, we're like, oh, this is so cool and fun, and we're like all posting the highlights. And now there's been this shift where we're just like tired of doing that. We're tired of doing that. And I'm tired of seeing it, to be honest. Like, I love a good creative, curated video, but I really crave that realness within that video, right? Because I want to feel connected. That vulnerability, it leads us to a place of intimacy and connection. And this connection is what will help you connect to your ideal audience. Not trying to mimic someone else's strategy or copy someone else's work or words. I'm sure you guys have probably heard the phrase fake it till you make it. Have you guys heard that before? So I've even heard this so much within the social media world. Like, just go look at other people in your niche and pay attention to what they're doing, and then do that for your business. Do that for your marketing. Just put your own spin on it, right? We see this with the trending audios. Just take a trending audio, make your spin on the trend, and put it out there. And that's what will get you, connecting with people. And this can work for a period of time. It can also give you the opportunity to experiment and try new things and see what you like, see what you don't like. But it can also cause a lot of confusion, and it can also require a level of unlearning patterns later on. It can also drive more comparison and more disconnection from your own truth and purpose. If you're constantly looking at someone else and saying, what are they doing to have success? Let me just, put my own spin on that. You're disconnecting more and more and more from your own voice, from your own message, from your own heart. And that is not what we want. That is not what we came here to do. You were put on this earth with a mission. You were put here on this earth to make a difference, to be the person who you truly are in your heart, in your soul. So why are we going on social media and copying what other people are doing, right? Like, you already have everything that you need within yourself. When it comes to sharing your message, when it comes to communicating effectively, when it comes to, sharing your purpose, people want to work with you because of who you are. So tell your story, connect it to what they may be experiencing. Ask them questions, engage with how they might be experiencing life in that way. And this is why it's so important to also share your challenges authentically. This is why it's so important to not just put out the highlight reels, because people need to know that you are not perfect. You have also been through very challenging times in your life, challenging moments within your business, within your personal life. And of course, only share what you feel comfortable sharing. And there's a little balance of, not oversharing, right? Like, we don't want to necessarily go into the details of all of these experiences, but we want to focus more on the emotional experience, because that's where people can really connect to it. They might not connect to the specific details of this happened and then that happened and then I felt this way and then I found my way out of it on the other side. But they're definitely going to connect to the emotional experience of, this thing happened and I felt heartbroken. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it to the other side. But then this thing happened and it inspired me and it showed me that there was more to the grand picture. And so I picked myself up and this is what I did to get to the other side. Do you guys feel the difference in that when I kind of add in those emotional pieces as I'm telling that story? Yeah, it makes a difference when we can show people these are the challenges that we've overcome. People want to follow a journey and be a part of a movement that's ultimately greater than them, that they feel a part of, because they feel some kind of connection to your story. And the good news is that you guys all already have that calling within yourselves. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't. So that's that's the bulk of the work. And this is just, the layers of the onion. that we get to dig into, right? So you know that you have a message to share and you already know exactly how to do it. But sometimes, like I mentioned, there's these subconscious, programs that come up, these limiting beliefs that show up. And sometimes it's helpful to have resources and tools to help us reprogram or work with some of those limiting beliefs that are not even conscious, that are just subconsciously playing in the background. So I'm going to drop 2 links in the chat for you guys. The first one I'm dropping is an affirmation video. And if you guys are already familiar with affirmations, let me just tell you, for so long I was doing affirmations and then I was like, it doesn't work. You really have to feel the affirmations as you say them. Like this video, personally, I absolutely love going through these affirmations because she starts off saying the statements as a you are statement, and then you repeat it as an I am statement. And you go over the same things a couple of times. And when I hear someone saying you are, you are successful, like you are rich or whatever it is, my brain goes, oh yeah, I am that, right? And so like you can really play with it, really lean into it as you're saying it out loud. Like sometimes I like to sing it because it just like gets me excited and more activated, and I'll say it multiple times and just really like dial it into my system. Like I am this, even if there's that little part of me that's like, no you're not, like stop kidding yourself, like no you're not successful yet, right? I will speak to that part of myself and let it know, hey, no, it's okay. I know you're just trying to protect me. I've got it from here. I know that I am successful and I'm going to continue to be more successful, right? So that's a fun way to kind of use this video as a tool. It's something you can do daily. It's something you can do multiple times a day. And again, this is a practice that you can really integrate into your life so that when things feel harder, you have the tools and you have the systems to lean back on, the practices, the routines to lean back on to get yourself up out of that rut, because it happens to all of us. The second link that I am dropping in the chat is a playlist of subliminal audios. So if you're not familiar with subliminals, this is where you have like a lo-fi hip hop, some kind of just like chill music playing, but in the background there are affirmations playing that kind of rewire your subconscious to believe in those affirmations. So this is something that you can put on, while you're doing your admin work for your business, while you're, editing your videos, and it's just chill music that you can vibe to as you're working, and subconsciously you're being impacted by these positive affirmations that are going to support you. And you'll see in the playlist there's different ones for different vibes. Like if you are needing support with confidence, if you're needing support with making money in your business, if you're needing support with self-love, there's different affirmations for each one. So those are some fun tangible resources that you can use to support yourself energetically and emotionally, kind of in the background. I love these tools. You guys will also be getting an email after today with the replay from today's session, and I will also have a link where I will have all of the resources that I'm sharing with you guys. So no worries if you're like, oh my god, I need to grab this link and put it somewhere right now. You'll also be getting that email with the links. But just so you guys have access so you can check it out, those links are in the chat for you as well now. Okay, so you have this mission to do, but you keep finding yourself mindlessly scrolling. You're like doing the work, but you still find yourself opening up the apps. You don't even know how you got there, and you're just scrolling and you're falling into that comparison loop still. So this is where we need to have this conversation about boundaries. Sometimes it feels a little icky to talk about boundaries, but it is so, so, so important. And it is going to be the thing that makes or breaks your healthy relationship with social media, as it tends to be the thing that makes or breaks any healthy relationship in life in general. So let me tell you a little story. when I first started doing social media work, I would go on to do a simple task like post something for a client. And I would find myself scrolling almost all day. At this time in my life, this was when I first started my business. I had just moved. I didn't have a lot of connections in my area, and I was looking for that sense of connection. And so I went to social media, and I would find myself on the apps without even consciously tapping on it. And on a surface level, it impacted my relationships with others, of course, but deeper down, it started to diminish my own self-trust with myself. Like I said, this was the very beginning of my business. I had zero boundaries with social media. And because of that, I really suffered in every aspect of my life. And I believe that this is why so many people dislike social media, because it is designed to be addictive. It is designed to keep us scrolling, to keep us engaging. And at the end of the day, you know, this can be a really powerful tool, but it's up to us and how we use it. And that boils down to what our boundaries are and how willing we are to look at our trust with ourselves. Does this sound familiar to you guys at all? Like, do you end up going on social media to just do a simple task and you end up like scrolling? Okay, I'm seeing some head nods. Yeah. So what can we do to get more intentional with the apps? It's super, super important. This is energetic hygiene. So whether you struggle with this or not, I highly recommend trying out a couple of these things to just rein it in and set yourself up with a solid foundation. So let's do a little exercise together. I want you guys to take a moment and reflect, and then type in the chat what boundaries you can implement with social media based on these 3 things. First being your schedule. So what times and days do you allow yourself to go on social media? Is it just during your working hours for like maybe a window of time during your working hours? Do you have like 20 minutes after work that you allow yourself to scroll just for fun? Do you only scroll for fun on the weekends? Keeping it business only during the week? Do you allow yourself to scroll at all? Right? So that brings us into number 2, which is activity. So how will you use social media? Is your boundary that you will only use social media for business related activities? Is your boundary, I primarily use it for business related activities, but on the weekends I get on and I keep up with friends and family and I just watch funny memes? But I only do it within this time window, right? So like, what activities do you allow yourself to partake in on social media? And number 3 is who. Who do you plan to connect with? Do you plan to use social media for business, for personal, for both? Do you have everything in one account, or do you have separate accounts where you separate business and personal? These kinds of boundaries will help you get more clear on how and why you actually use social media, which can help you actually create guidelines on when you interact with that space, giving you honestly more mental freedom to do other things, to make art, to go outside, to go hiking, to do other admin-based things in your business, to be dreaming up the next chapter, the next vision of what you're creating. Because if we just give ourselves full access to social media all the time, it is a slippery slope. So we can establish these boundaries, we can explore these boundaries, but how do we actually hold ourselves accountable to keep up with these boundaries, right? Because that's the other thing. We can say, okay, I'm only going to use social media for work during the week, right? But then we find ourselves still scrolling. And what does that do? That continuously, impacts our self-trust, our belief in ourselves. Whew, it cuts deep and we don't even realize it. So I'm going to drop another link in the chat. And again, you guys will get this in the email as well. But this is a worksheet that you guys can use to actually go through and get really, really clear and specific on your personal boundaries with social media. And I encourage you guys to literally print this out or write it down on paper and put it up on your walls where you're usually doing your work thing, or like if you travel, have it in your computer. So every time you open up your laptop, that's the first thing you see. You see your boundaries. So it reminds you, hey, I have this commitment to myself. This is my commitment to myself, until it gets to the point where you don't even have to think about it. You can even put your boundaries as like the background of your phone screen, wherever you need to put it, in as many places as you need to put it, to remind yourself that you have this commitment to yourself. And you can also give yourself incentives. So you can kind of track, like, did I scroll on social media this week? Did I, keep true to my boundaries? Okay, if I do, at the end of the week, I'm going to give myself, like 20 extra minutes of fun scroll time where I can just send memes back and forth with my friend. Or I'm going to give myself like a piece of cake from the local bakery. I'm going to take myself out for a little lunch. I'm going to take myself out for a picnic, right? Like whatever it is for you that feels really, really exciting and motivating, by the end of the week, you can incentivize yourself. And that's a really sweet way to like celebrate the good behavior, right? Encourage ourselves to stay consistent and stay true, because it feels good when we honor ourselves. Like when we give boundaries to a partner or to a friend or to a family member, we want them to honor those boundaries. And when they don't, it hurts our trust. So our relationship with ourselves is the same when it comes to social media. If I let myself scroll and I get out of my habits, like, it doesn't feel good. So that's the thing that we want to keep in mind too. Like, what are you committed to within yourself? How does this bring it all back to that feeling you want to feel when you interact with social media, when you go to post? So a couple of other action items that you can implement to help maintain this healthy relationship and these strong boundaries with social media. Obviously doing the worksheet, like I mentioned before. But you can also put blocks on your apps so that by a certain time of the day, or after you've had this amount of time on the apps, your phone will not let you access it anymore. If you have an iPhone, you can do this in the settings. If you have an Android, there might be something in the settings that you can implement as well. If not, there are apps that you can download on your phone that will allow you to do this as well. This is super, super helpful for if you find yourself just mindlessly going to the apps. So that way, when you go to the app and you don't have access to it, it's a moment where you get to make that decision to honor yourself or not. Because with almost all of these blockers, you often can override and say, actually, no, I'm going to the app, right? So you still have the choice, but it's another step that you have to take to say, okay, I'm going to consciously disregard my own boundaries, or I'm going to consciously choose to respect my own boundaries. And then you can incentivize yourself for that if you do honor those boundaries, right? Another action item, if you're really struggling with comparison, if you're really struggling with the social media addiction, continuously going back, I would highly encourage you to try and implement a 30-day social media fast. And this can be a little bit tricky, especially as business owners, because we still have this commitment to show up consistently, right? So this does take a lot of self-responsibility and a lot of commitment, to yourself. Basically what this looks like is you can just do absolutely no social media for 30 days and just have content scheduled out, and maybe have a virtual assistant or somebody just checking in on your account to make sure things are still going, like comments are getting responded to and all of that. Or you could really exercise that commitment and that self-trust and just go on to schedule your posts, respond to comments, respond to DMs, reach out to new people, you do your business stuff, and then you get out of there. You're not scrolling for any reason whatsoever. And if you catch yourself, you just, nope, we're on the fast, we're on the scrolling fast, we're not going to do that, right? So I highly encourage also trying that out. And even if you're struggling to come up with creative ideas, or you're really, really in that place of comparison, this is really helpful for just detoxing your mind of other ideas, of other, ways of communication, of other ways of talking, speaking, all of it, so that you can really get back to the core of who you are and how you want to share from your heart. The fourth thing that you can do to continue establishing a healthy relationship with social media is actually unfollowing or just muting for a period of time accounts that you feel that comparison ick with. Sometimes it can be, a mentor, a friend, a family member, somebody that you really, really value the work that they're doing in the world. And so muting their account for a period of time can just give you that space to recalibrate and come back to yourself. And then oftentimes after some space, you can come back to that person's content and have more clarity on why it was impacting you so much, which will then give you data and information on where you can love yourself a little bit more, or where you can lean in to, those weaknesses or those insecurities that can become strengths as well, that inherently are strengths as well. So those are a couple of ways that I like to continuously uphold my relationship with social media in a healthy way. And again, like with all of this, it is a practice. So continuously showing up for yourself and practicing these things can have a huge, huge impact long term. It's something that you might see the benefits up front, and then you might trickle off for a little bit and come back around to it. So just remember to give yourself grace through that process as well. So I would love to open up the space for a moment for you guys to share any ahas, any takeaways, or any questions that came up for you as we were talking about the kind of emotional mental health piece of social media. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? You can just unmute and go ahead and share.
Just something that you talked about, Grace. I can, as I'm trying these new editing programs and things like that, I can kind of get lost in it, where I'm trying to learn it, and I can really stay in there for a while. And I also appreciated as you're really connecting with other creators, being inspired by them, seeing the mirror in them of wow, what inspires you, and just using that information to understand yourself better in the direction that you want to create. So thank you for speaking to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love how you brought up even learning a new platform, learning a new editing tool. Sometimes it can be easy to get caught up in trying to learn this thing that we get frustrated with ourselves, or we get caught up in spending so much time doing a thing. And it's important to even put boundaries on your time with that as well. I'm going to take 30 minutes to an hour to explore this new tool, right? Instead of just okay, I'm just exploring this new tool, we'll see. And sometimes we need that fluidity, and sometimes we need that space. But also as business owners, we are wearing so many hats and doing so many things. So it's important to also have those boundaries around how much time we're putting into new things as well that we're bringing in. So I love that you brought that up. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share?
I had
Yes,
something.
I would.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I just had a quick thing that popped up into my mind as you were talking about boundaries. My mind was like, how do I find trends by not scrolling? I'm scared if I stop scrolling, I think that I'll fall out of like finding little trends that like I think sometimes help people grow. Like, I don't know if I should just not go with trends or how to create a boundary finding that.
I'm so glad you brought this up because this is something I've been reflecting on a lot recently, like the trend thing. Following trends and like trending audios and things like that can be definitely super supportive for growth. It's, the algorithm's pushing it out, so more people are going to see your page and come see what you're doing. So I don't think that interacting with trends is a bad thing, but I would love to bring this reframe about it collectively, where we're looking at trends as like, this is fun. I want to do this because it's fun, not because I have to, not because this is the only way I can grow. And I love to think about it like, the people who started the trends are benefiting the most from that trend catching on. And that likely came from a place of, creativity, of like sitting in silence and having this idea come through, of just expressing themselves authentically and finding, this song that just matched the experience perfectly. And so I don't think following trends is a bad thing, but I would encourage you to put yourself in the position of the creative who has the ability and the space and the talent and the creativity to create trends, to be the person who starts that. Well, also, if you come across something and it looks fun, play with that too, because why not? You're a free person. You can do whatever you want. But I think that we often get caught up in thinking, I have to do the trends because that's how I'm going to get noticed. That's how I'm going to get seen. You never know what will actually perform well and like blow up until you just start experimenting. And so as you experiment, and we'll talk about this in more depth for the content section of the training, but as you start to create from your own inspiration, your own creativity more and more, you will start to see patterns of what's performing well. And so then you can lean into certain ideas more and more. And that will start to gain traction as well. But how do we find trends without scrolling, right? There's a couple of different ways that you can do this while still maintaining your boundaries. So I will occasionally put on a timer for like 10 minutes. And I will just go through reels and all I'm paying attention to is the audio. I'm just listening. And it can even help to not even like look at the screen, but just have your headphones on, just like go through and just listen. And as you're listening to the audios, you can connect like ideas to that particular audio, to that particular sound bite that is from your own creativity. And then you can go back and see, what did this person do, right? Maybe that gives you more inspiration towards the idea you were already leaning towards, or maybe it takes you in a different direction. But having the timer and having that specific goal gives you a clear boundary to still operate in that way and find, what you can connect to and play off of as far as trends go. I know Instagram also has a section, if you have a business account, where you can go in and just look at trending audios, like see all the trending audios there. So that's another way you could do it if you go in just from there. I personally like to scroll through my reels because for me, I don't know, there's something about it, just scrolling through and listening in that way. So you can do it either way, whatever resonates with you most. Is that helpful? Awesome. Yay. Okay, Rima, I know you wanted to share something as well.
Yes, by the way, I love how you answered that question. And for me, an aha moment while you were speaking was really treating Instagram and social media like any other relationship that you might have in your life. I never thought about it that way, but it makes so much sense. And I'm really looking forward to implementing that insight and seeing how it goes. So thank you a lot for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. Take away those reflections. Yeah. We are in relationship with everything in our lives. Everything. So you can even take what I'm talking about with boundaries and you can apply it to anything in your life. Even other aspects of your business, like the way you communicate with your clients, the way that you know, show up in your offerings, the way that, you know, what you will accept, what you won't accept. And I highly encourage you guys to take this boundaries worksheet that I gave you, and even, you know, you can use it to get clarity about boundaries in other aspects of your life. Like just choose an area of life and go through the worksheet, and you can just tweak it a little bit to make it make sense. Um, yeah, it's super powerful. I mean, business is just like dating. I mean, we're like, you know, when we connect with leads, like we're just getting to know each other, you know? Like how many siblings do you have? Where are you from? Right? Like we're getting the details, like how do you deal with conflict to understand if it's a match or not. We're kind of flirting with each other. Like, could this work? Could this be a fit? And then we get to go from there. But it's super important that we have those boundaries in place so that we can even know if it's a fit or not. So that we can see those red flags of like, this person is likely not going to actually be a fit for my offering. Or like, they might be a fit for the offering, but energetically it's not a match, right? Because there were these red flags. So there's lots of different ways where you can apply boundaries to your business. And I promise you guys, when you have this piece in place, it makes everything else so much easier because it brings so much clarity. And of course, there's moments and there's times where maybe boundaries need to be broken. Like maybe you have a boundary of like, you know, people can only come into my program if they pay this much. But you have somebody with a skill that wants access to your program, and you could establish a trade where there's still equal exchange. That might be an example of a time when a boundary needs to be broken or bent a little bit, right? But in general, it's good to have this foundation to know what you're going in with, what your intentions are. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Rima. Okay, we have time for one more share if anyone has any more reflections.
I guess I can go just a little bit. I've been reading this book. I can't remember actually what it's called right now. I should remember, but it's something about storytelling.
Mhm.
I think it's called the Storytelling Workbook. It's about how, you know, when you're trying to engage with an audience, it's leaning more into the emotional side. And sometimes, at least for me, in my wording, my vernacular, I tend to miss out on that part. And so, many times, as like I would say something to Rima, her friend will say something like literally the same thing in my mind, the same thing, but it gets a different response, even though I'm like, I just said that. And so for me, it's just more of like trying to figure out how to bring more of an emotional connection to my audience and to others when I'm speaking.
I love that. Yeah, it's super important. And again, something that we practice, right? Even with our own selves, like how can I connect to my own emotions, my own emotional experience within something that I went through without just saying like, here's what happened, like he said this and then I did this, right? But like, how did that feel? And the more we can practice that, the better we're going to get at storytelling, the better we're going to get at connecting with our audiences, but the better we're also going to get at connecting with our partners, our family, our friends, ourselves in the process too. And for me, that is such a foundational piece of what we're doing. We want to be connected to our emotions, but not allow it to run the show, right? And that's emotional intelligence. Like when we can really have awareness and that connection to our emotions without allowing it to totally like take over and like now I can't function or do anything because I'm having this emotional experience. It's just like, whoa, I'm feeling like really intense right now. I'm just gonna like take a moment, breathe, and be with this emotion. And now I have more clarity on why I had this experience. Now I have more clarity on like how to share this experience with other people because I gave myself the space to feel it too. So super important. I love that you brought up that reflection. It's a huge piece of the puzzle. Okay, how are we feeling, you guys? How are we feeling? We're going into the second chapter of the training. Has this been valuable for you guys so far? Awesome. I love to hear that. Okay, do you guys want to take a quick, like, 2 to 3 minute break? Or do you want to just keep going? Keep going? Seeing that energy? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to keep going with it. Perfect. So now that we have our boundaries in place and we've connected to our emotions a little bit more, we got to look at how do we actually find and engage with the people who can connect to our story? What does that even look like? How do we find the people who actually might need support from what we're offering? How many of you guys feel lost when it comes to finding your ideal audience, your target audience, your ideal clients, any of that? I see some hand raises. Yeah, it can be super challenging. I mean, we have like such a vast web to pull from out on social media. And depending on, what we've been looking at, what our algorithm is pushing us, who we see in our feed might not actually be our ideal audience. Who's actually following us might not even be our ideal audience. Maybe you started on an account that is like mostly friends and family that's following you. And you're, feeling concerned about showing up like salesy, sharing your offer because you know that your audience is not even the target. And they're just going to be like, okay, here's Grace selling her thing again. Like, we're going to listen to this pitch again, right? But when you have an audience of people listening to your content, watching you, that actually are invested in your story and what you are offering, selling is so easy because you're not even selling. You're just talking about your life and what you're creating and what you're offering. And then people are like, wow, that's great. That's exactly what I need. That's exactly what I've been looking for. That's so cool, right? And then they want to engage even more. So when we talk about engagement on social media, again, it's super important to be really clear with your intention going into it, because the way that you feel behind every action bleeds into your connections. So if you have an expectant energy, like you're going into this, like this person is definitely gonna be a sale. This person's gonna help me hit my financial goals. This person's gonna help me grow in my business in the way that I want to. You'll find more people that have their walls up with you because they can feel that expectant energy. They can feel that you want something from them. Versus if you go into engagement and connection with a genuine desire to get to know this person and an openness to what might unfold, people will be a lot more open and curious with you as you engage with them. So this doesn't mean that every single person that you connect with on social media or in person will feel open and available to connect, but it definitely increases the quantity of quality connections that can come from your initiatives. So I'm curious, we're going to be talking about direct message marketing, direct message outreach. This is my favorite strategy to use, and it has been proven again and again and again the most successful for me and for my clients. Does anyone in here already implement a DM outreach strategy? Seeing some no's. Okay. Does anyone feel confused about what I'm talking about when I say a DM marketing strategy? Okay, I see Lauren has her hand up. So when I'm talking about a DM strategy, I'm talking about direct message marketing. So this is connecting with people personally through social media in the DMs. And I see some of your faces. I know that this is a iffy. Like, a lot of people feel very iffy about this way of marketing, this form of marketing. And I understand why, because there's a lot of people doing it in a way that is not intentional, not authentic, totally sleazy bro marketing style of like, hey, I got this thing I'm trying to sell you on, right? Like a lot of people are doing that, and it's so frustrating to open up your DMs and you're like, yeah, I got a new message, and then it's like, hey, do you want 5 to 10 new, social media followers a day or whatever it is? We don't want to be doing that, and that is not how I implement my DM strategy, and it is not what I teach. So I just want to get that out first and foremost. So for those of you who are new to this concept, this is a strategy where you or someone that you delegate this task to goes out on social media and connects with people who are actually, your ideal target audience. So having clarity about that when you go into this strategy is super important. Like, who do you want to connect with? What types of things are they into? What places do they hang out? What are they about? What are their values? What kind of qualities do they have on a personal level? And then you can go on social media and connect with those people through a direct message. Generally, you're finding people who you've never talked to before, but you can also apply this for reaching out to warm audiences who are already familiar with you and your work. So people who have purchased from you before, people who are already following you, if they do kind of fit your criteria for who you're wanting to connect with. And like I said, this can have somewhat of an iffy reputation, because I'm sure you've all gotten those, salesy messages in your DMs. But the real goal with DM marketing is to make connections and nurture relationships. It's not to sell people your offer. Like I said from the very beginning, if you come into this with expectant energy, people are going to immediately have their walls up. So we want to really let go of any expectations and go into this with the intention of connection. We're planting seeds and we're building the soil. We're focused on nurturing. And if you're listening to this and you're already thinking, Grace, I have no time to implement a new strategy that involves me intentionally going in and reaching out to people. Like, I just need people to come to me. I'm going to also talk about how you can do this within a very short period of time, and how you can use this alongside with other content strategies as well, which I'll go into more depth on our training tomorrow. So let's get into the step-by-step process that I go through to find and start engaging with new leads on social media. And that'll give you guys a clearer picture of what this strategy actually looks like and how it works in a way that is really rooted in that authenticity and connection. So the first thing that I do is I create intentional space on my calendar every single week for this strategy specifically. So how often you do this will depend on your goals and your capacity. If you have only 30 minutes once a week that you can commit to doing this to start, then try it out. 30 minutes, you can get pretty far with 30 minutes. You can generate, daily leads with 30 minutes a week. So whether you have 30 minutes or you have, an hour every single day of the week, schedule it out in your calendar. And I would prioritize this, because if your account is new, if you're wanting to grow your audience and you're struggling with your content being seen, doing this strategy, even if it is just for a period of time, is going to tell your algorithm, these are the people who I want to be connecting with. Connect me with more of these people. It's going to get more eyes on your page and your content, so that more people are seeing your content and then following you. And it's going to get real conversations started with people. So this kind of takes out, the silent viewer, because sometimes you'll have people who just watch your content and they never engage, they never reach out to you for anything, right? They're just watching. When you can initiate the conversation, it takes the pressure off of them to show up and say, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing. So that's another benefit as well. So create space in your calendar depending on your capacity. That's step number one. Number two is, it is super important to have some sort of CRM database. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. And this is basically a system that you use to keep track of leads, to keep track of people who you are communicating with, connecting with for your business. I personally use Notion because I can customize it a lot. That's what me and my team use for our CRM. But you can use things like HubSpot, Asana, Trello. Like, there's so many different programs that you can use. Notion is free, and it's kind of like a fancy spreadsheet. But you can also use a classic spreadsheet as well if that's your vibe. So many different ways to do it. But it is important to have some way of tracking who you're talking to. So number 3, you want to set a timer for the time period that you have given yourself to do this practice. So if it's 30 minutes, put a timer on for 30 minutes and play some music that makes you feel good. Whether it's like some jazz, whether it's this lo-fi hip hop with the subliminal affirmations in the background, helping you feel confident, or whatever it is that just gets you hyped up and ready to go, play some good music, put your timer on. I personally love doing 30-minute increments, even if I have a whole hour blocked off, because after 30 minutes, it's a good idea to just stretch, reflect on how this is going, make sure you're not getting stuck into scrolling as well. So number 4, if you have already started implementing the strategy, you want to prioritize your follow-ups first. Have you guys ever heard that the fortune is in the follow-up? So this is so true. If you are connecting with new leads for your business and they say, yeah, I'm totally interested, I just need to learn more. And you go, okay, great. But then you never respond, or you send them something and then you never check in with them. Maybe you send them an article or a PDF or a video or something about your offer, and they never respond to it. You don't even know if they watched it. You don't even know if they're still interested. You don't even know if they have any questions. We have to follow up with people because life gets busy, life gets crazy. So sometimes we all need that gentle reminder of, hey, we were having this conversation. Hey, how's everything going in your world, right? Coming from that heart space, because you're genuinely curious. It's not like, hey, are you ready to buy the thing yet? But the more that we can connect with people, it's nurturing the relationship when we follow up. So that's why the fortune is in the follow-up. Not because we're like, hey, are you ready to buy the thing yet? It's because when you continue to stay on top of mind, you continue to stay active in this person's life, in this person's decision, because oftentimes it is a big investment. It is a big decision to invest in whatever you're offering. When you can just be a part of that person's journey, it allows them to feel safer. I'm going to read this comment from Ben here. If you'd like to be in lucrative exchange with someone for mutual benefit, how do you cultivate connection and be direct without expectations coming across like you're wanting something from them? Follow-ups can feel like expectations. Do you just make friends and just be available for them to ask for my services, and only when they ask first follow up until fruition or they change their mind? So this is actually a really great question and a really great conversation. So how do we actually cultivate that connection and be direct without expectations? I find that coming in direct about your intention is actually really powerful, and immediately, you can tell if someone is open to the conversation or not, which is also going to help you spend less time with the people who are not open to receiving what you're offering, or not open to connecting with you. So when I go in without expectation, when I say I don't have expectations, I'm saying I don't expect this person to buy from me, but I want to offer them something. I want to connect with them. So I have a desire for connection, and I have a desire to connect with them on the topic of business, social media, and entrepreneurship. So I do want to make friends, but the goal is to go in with a direct energy of like, hey, I want to invite you into this specific space. So I'm going to get into a bit of my process a little bit more here, and that might also clarify some of these questions. So when you already have momentum, you want to prioritize those follow-ups so that you can stay top of mind and keep developing and nurturing those relationships you've already established, because you can ultimately get a lot farther when you continue conversations with people you already have than you might with new connections that you're making. So it's important to have a balance of both, but if you're coming into it, start off going through your follow-ups before you start doing new outreach. Once you have done your follow-ups for the day, you want to focus on new outbound messages. So now we're going to get into like, how do we actually find the people through this strategy? And then what's the journey that we take them through with the DM strategy so that we're not just like putting expectations and like blowing people up with follow-up messages. So this strategy works great for Instagram, it works great for Facebook, and it also works great for LinkedIn. On each platform, it's going to be slightly different. There's different nuances for each platform. But what I'm going to share with you is going to be kind of the baseline for all of these platforms so you can implement it in different places. So to find new accounts for new outreach, you can start by going through your current followers and seeing if there's anyone in there who's already been following you who might be a good fit for the offering that you have. If you don't have a good, source of leads in your followers, you can go to social media accounts that you enjoy that have a similar target audience as you do. So for example, if you're an artist, you would go to other artists' pages and you can go into their comments, go into their followers, go into their likes, and just connect with different accounts that are already there, that are already engaging with similar content. You can also search for keywords related to your ideal audience if that is available for you, depending on your niche. So things like, motherhood or holistic health, virtual assistant, coach, musician, things like that. Depending on who you're looking to connect with, keywords can also be a great way to find people. And then you can reach out to the people that you find directly, or you can go into their comments and followers as well. So there's lots of different places to look. And I want us to consider the ethics of this as well, right? Ethically, is it okay to go to someone else's page and reach out to their followers and the people in their comments? Like, does that feel ethical? To me, from my perspective, I think of this as like a networking event. When you go to a networking event and you connect with people, or you're in a community environment and you're connecting with people, you're talking with people, you're sharing your interests, you're sharing what you do, you share your mission, and they say, oh, hey, yeah, like I have a friend who's super into that kind of a thing, you guys should connect. And then you connect with that friend and they're like, hey, I had this lead come through and they're just not quite a fit for what I do, but I feel like they'd be perfect for what you do. To me, it's kind of the same thing, but we're manually doing it through social media because this is the kind of environment we're working with. Does that make sense for you guys? Alexis says, I feel like it can be ethical as long as you're not looking through your competition's followers and trying to reach out to them. Yeah, and so this is going to be different for different niches, right? Like if you're an artist, there's nobody that creates art in the way that you do. If you're a coach, your unique way of sharing your story and supporting people through what they're going through is unique to who you are. So you don't really have competition because it's about who you are. If you're doing a service-based offering, like you're a virtual assistant or you do social media management, you don't want to be going into other social media managers' accounts and grabbing, followers from there. Because oftentimes it's also other people in your niche as well who don't always need your services, unless you are, going for business coaches, or you're going for social media managers who need, an extra thing taken off of their plate. So yeah, you don't want to be going in and just like blasting accounts. Usually what I do, if I take that approach, right, of going to accounts with a similar vibe to me or similar niche, I'll go in and I'll connect with like 5 to 10 people, and then I'll go to another account or I'll go to another keyword. So you don't want to just like absolutely go through and just like reach out to every single person in their followers. But you can kind of do it, in batches, go to different accounts. Like, you don't want to just go in and go hard on like one account and one account only. Does that make sense for you guys as well? Okay, cool. Awesome. So once you find people that you want to connect with, and I encourage you guys, like, don't spend too much time looking at their content trying to figure out if they're a good fit or not, or if they're even would be interested in what you're offering, because not everyone puts everything out on social media through their content. So let's say you have a coaching program and it has to deal with confidence. Like, most people are not going to be going out on social media and going, man, I just feel like I really hate myself today. For you to go, oh, okay, this person needs some confidence coaching, right? It takes a conversation. It takes getting to know somebody. So go to their page, get a feel for their vibe, watch some of their content, engage with it authentically. And this is where like engaging with content intentionally can replace doom scrolling, where you're going in and you are consuming content, but you're consuming in an intentional way, in an intentional way to get to know somebody. So you're watching their content, like a couple of their posts, leave a sweet comment and be genuine. Like, oh my God, this is so resonant with me. I love when you're talking about boundaries in this post. It's so important, right? And another thing that I really love to do is actually responding to active stories. So if this is for Instagram or Facebook, if someone has a story that's active, reply to that story like, oh my God, your dog is so cute, or I absolutely love this, like the beach is so beautiful, where is this, right? Just start a conversation, an initiation, and be genuine. Because what this does, it creates a chat history on Instagram or on Facebook, which will then bring your DM messages up to the forefront for them on social media. So that, when they go to their DMs, they actually see your message. It's not just like getting lost in the requests folder. So you just want to encourage that engagement with them through responding to the story. If they don't have an active story, you can respond to a story highlight that they have, on their account. You also want to follow them and continue to engage with their content as they post. And this is something you can do intentionally as well. When you go to do your DM outreach, when you go to do your follow-ups, go to their page, engage with their content a little bit, check in with like what's new in their world. And it's just going to help you start to develop more of a relationship with them. So I'm going to get into the actual messages and how we take people through the conversation in a moment. But just to stay on track with kind of the logistical strategy and how we're keeping track of everything. Once you've reached out to people with your first nurture message, which is basically just a message you're going to send them like, hey, I just found your account. I've been watching your content and I'm so inspired by you and what you're doing. The work you're doing is so important. Like, please keep going. And again, this has to be genuine, legitimate. You actually would say this thing to them based on what you've seen through their content. That's super, super important. And this can be a script that you use. I personally have like 5 or 6 different scripts that I pull from, depending on what is actually authentic for me based on what I've seen, on their account so far. But once you've done this, you want to add them to your CRM database, wherever it is, whether it's in Notion or HoneyBook or HubSpot, whatever it is. And you want to, put some sort of tag on their account, like we're engaging on socials. That's what mine says. It says engaging on socials. That's the first step in the process. And you'll just continue this process of finding new people and reaching out with nurture messages or doing your follow-ups until you run out of time on your timer, and then take a break and reset, right? To have a bigger impact, you can repeat this 30-minute process twice per day. But you want to make sure that you cap it at 15 accounts every hour. You don't want to reach out to more than 15 new accounts, specifically on Instagram and Facebook, within an hour, because you can get flagged. And we're not spammers. That's not what we're here to do. That's why I'm saying, like, don't go into somebody's account and just reach out to like 30 followers from this one person's account. Really make it intentional. Like, why are you doing this? Why do you actually want to connect with people? And you don't just want to like overwhelm, your account or overwhelm, yourself trying to reach out to so many people every day. But 15 people every hour, if you're going to do, these 30-minute increments multiple times a day, that's a really great goal to just strive for. But if you do less, you do less. And honestly, the more that you do this practice, the easier it gets and the faster you'll get. So the first time you do it, you might reach out to like 5 people. And then the next time you might reach out to more, right? So once you have done all your reach outs for the day, you want to also log how many people you actually reached out to within that day, because this is super important to track how well your strategy is actually working. This way you have an understanding of whether or not you need to change your messaging, whether or not you need to change, how you're finding people, how you're reaching out to them based on how receptive they are, right? So I actually have this little spreadsheet that I've made for you guys. It is a DM tracker. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. And it's just a little spreadsheet where you can log how many people you've reached out to. You can then put in how many links you've sent out, which is part of the process of like how you kind of bring people through in the DMs, and then how many calls have been booked and how many sales have been made. This will help you keep track of how successful your strategy is working for you. And I'm also going to drop in the chat another document that has a couple of example nurture scripts. So when you reach out to people, this is the first message that you'll send to them. It's a nurture message, which is basically just saying, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to connect. Same thing as if you were at a networking event and you're like, hey, you did an amazing presentation on water quality. I'd love to connect with you on like what you're doing in that field, right? Maybe you're a business coach that's like, hey, I want to help you help more people with their water quality, right? So we're just networking here. That's all this is. Once you send people the nurture message, the next goal, once they respond, of course, if they don't respond to you, you might follow up 2 or 3 times, just like, hey, just chiming in to see if you got my message. That's one way that you can follow up in a way that doesn't hold expectations. Hey, I know life gets busy. I just want to make sure you got this message. You just want to make sure that like they see you celebrating them. Because at the end of the day, if they're not even a fit for what you're doing, like you still want to uplift them, right? You still want to like support people in what they're doing and who they are. So the next goal, once they respond, is to invite them into your world, into your space. I personally love to do this through a bridge offer. That's how you guys all got here, through my bridge. I don't know if any of you are going to come into my mastermind. I don't know if any of us are going to collaborate beyond this point. I don't even have expectations of if we will. But what I do know is that you are powerful entrepreneurs with a powerful mission, and I want to support you in that. And so here I am giving 4 hours of my time and my teaching for free because I want to support you in what you do. And if it connects, if it resonates to continue working together, we will cross that bridge with time on the other side, right? After you've had a chance to get to know me, to connect me, after I've had the chance to get to know you and connect with you. Because again, business relationships are relationships, and we want to make sure it's a fit, right? So I personally love having a bridge offer, and I think it's a very safe way to also connect with people through social media, because you're not saying, hey, I love what you're doing, buy my thing, I think it'd be really helpful for you. You're saying, hey, I love what you're doing and I'd love to support you. I'm offering this thing for free, whether it's a workbook, a short masterclass, a 2-day event, a pre-recorded training that you've already created, right? There's so many different ways that you could choose to have a bridge, but you're offering them something for free to see if it'll connect with them and give them the opportunity to connect to what you are doing in the first place. And this can work for service-based businesses. This can work for product-based businesses. This works great for coaching and for, you know, different things like that as well. So lots of different ways you can be using this. And then you give people also the opportunity to consent yes or no to connecting with you further. So yes, I would love to attend the training. Yes, I would love to see the masterclass. Yes, I would love this free resource. Awesome. Well, here it is. And maybe the exchange is you get their email in exchange. Maybe the exchange is, you know, I do feedback calls, so I get your feedback. And it also gives us the opportunity to connect about if my offer is a fit for you. There's so many ways you can do it, but you want to have some kind of exchange, right? And this gives people the safety to say yes or to say no. And if they say no, you respect that no. There might be times where people say no and they have a really good reason for that no. Maybe they're like, this just isn't a fit. I don't need this. Maybe they're like, I'm really busy with life right now. Maybe their no is, you know, I just don't know if I can commit to this thing. So I like to get curious about the no's personally. I like to get a little bit more information. So if someone gives me a no, I try to ask for feedback. I try to offer a different perspective. I try to understand with more clarity why they are a no, so that I can have clarity. Okay, if time is an issue, I have another option that solves that problem that I can offer to them where they still get the value, but they don't have to commit the time. Right? So there's different ways that we can also work with that no in a respectful way. If they are just like a no, I don't want this. Okay, no worries. I totally respect your no. Thank you so much for your time and for, you know, being open to talk to me, to connect with me. Either way, I'd still love to support what you're doing. That's how I like to go about it, right? That way, we're still continuing that connection, and I still get to support them, even if it's not a direct fit for them to attend whatever I'm offering or to access the resource, whatever it is. And then from there, you can take the conversation about the offering through, you know, that, whether it's through, you know, a freebie that then links them into an email sequence, which then invites them to invest later on, or it's more of an in-person connection like this. I personally recommend, if you are newer in your business and you are still building your audience, that you do some kind of more connective option, like doing a masterclass or a live event, and you're connecting with them personally on the calls. If you already have an audience and you want to have a little bit more of that, you know, you want to just take a step out of that part of your business, you can do something like a freebie that leads you into an email, you know, sequence that sells them on the offer if it's a fit. But ultimately, we want to just make sure that we are not selling to people who don't want or are not interested in what we're offering. And so that's where really making sure that you're tracking how well your DM strategy is working is going to give you information on if the people you're reaching out to are actually a fit for what you're offering. That's really the biggest thing. Because when people are a fit for your offering, selling is easy. Like, it doesn't feel like this thing that's out of integrity because this person sitting in front of you saying, please help me. I need help with this thing. And then you can fill that gap, right? And then it can be a collaborative experience instead of like, I'm manipulating you and coercing you into buying my thing. Like, that's not what we want. We want a cohesive, collaborative experience, right? The key is to just really let go of that expectation, just to provide from that heart space, that desire to support another person in their journey based on where your expertise is, where you can support them. Okay, so how are we feeling about this? Do you guys have any questions about anything that I've shared? I know that this can kind of bring up some conversation. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to share any ahas, any takeaways, or ask any questions. And again, feel free to unmute, or you can drop it in the chat.
I have something I would like to ask. I had created a second account a while ago, like months ago, because I thought it would be smart to separate, so to say, my business and what I'm trying to build from my personal account. And then it was just too much work because I felt the need to post on both, and that distracted me even more and confused me even more. And now, as you were talking and sharing, I'm thinking to myself, a lot of times I do stop myself from fully sharing what I want to share, because I know that a lot of family and friends and close people follow me, and I'm thinking in my mind, what are they going to think if I try to sell them something? And that kind of blocks me. So would it make sense to, again, start anew or go back to the account I used to have and just try to build it? It was also the fact that, I would have to work on the following, and that could potentially take time. But yeah, I would like to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's multiple different ways you could go about this. And this is where, you'll have to reflect on what's actually in alignment for you. One option is you just continue to post on the account that you've already had, where your friends and family are following you, and you just work on showing up anyways for your business, even though you know those people are watching. And you let go of just, the fear of what will they think about me. Because most of the time, I think we think that when we sell on social media, everyone's like rolling their eyes at us. When in reality, most of the time, people are really happy for us, that we're putting ourselves out there. They're really curious to know what we're doing. They want to understand, unless they just don't understand the world that we're in, and they're not, where they're not in that field. So that's where it can be challenging, where maybe they don't understand, maybe they're throwing out judgments or whatever. Every situation is unique. The other option is, to continue building the new account and just really bring that clarity, that intention of, this is my business account, and this is all that I'm doing here. This is not for personal. This is where I'm sharing things about business, and connecting with people specifically for that purpose. And if you did that, because you're sharing that you were getting tripped up and it was holding you back from posting, I would recommend just having your personal account for whenever you just feel inspired to post there. If you're going to transition, then you don't need to upkeep 2 accounts. The only time that it makes sense to upkeep multiple accounts is if you have multiple businesses that don't really connect to each other. So if you have that personal account, let it be a personal account and take the pressure off on having to post. What I would do though is, if you are going to transition, let people know, hey, I am starting this new account specifically for this offering and for this type of work that I do. So if you want to learn more about, art practices for mindfulness and things like that, go ahead and follow me on this page. And that way you're only bringing over the people who are really wanting to engage with that type of content with you and want to celebrate you in that as well. But trying to upkeep 2 accounts and holding that expectation on yourself, I think will be a heavy load to carry, right? So again, you'll just have to sit with that and reflect what works best for you. But I've done that before too. I had an account that was a personal account that ended up I had a post that went viral. I had 20K followers within a month. join me on that account. And I also had like my friends and family and stuff on that account too. And I had to just basically let go of any expectation I held on myself to appease to my friends and family who were following me there. And I just was posting like for that business. And I was still sharing me. And that's the thing, like I infuse myself and my energy and my personality into everything that I do. So like they're still getting me and what I'm doing and who I am, but it's not on a specific topic, right? And so then they can choose to unfollow me and follow me in other places if they want to. But that's sort of my perspective on it. Does that resonate or help answer your question?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I will definitely think about it a little more and then see what feels right for me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're so welcome. Yeah, I think that'll be a good thing to bring into your boundary reflections too, because that's what it really boils down to. Like, what are my boundaries about? What I share where and who I want to connect with through these platforms. Okay, thanks for sharing. Any other reflections, questions, takeaways that want to be shared?
Could you just go over the DM messenger tracking template? I'm just kind of, I guess, confused on what you mean by like link and then the source and then show.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me share my screen real quick and I can go over that. Okay, so this is the DM messenger tracking template. And as you can see, there's a tab for each month. So we're in July, so we would go to July. We would find the date, and we have a couple of sections here. DMs is how many DMs went out today. So you can, my favorite way to do it within Notion is basically putting a filter on my CRM and just seeing who did I reach out to today. So then it'll show me, you know, how many people are within that field, and I can put the number in here pretty easily. Link is like the next stage of connection. So if you are inviting somebody to an event that you're hosting and you have a registration process, whether that's through, you know, booking a call with you or filling out a form or putting in their email, whatever it is, you're going to send that link to them. This could also be a link to a video for them to learn more about who you are and what you do. It could also be a link to a freebie where they have to put in their email to get access. So this is whatever kind of value you're providing to them as the bridge offer. And if it makes sense for you, you can change what this says, you know, and write video, you know, if it helps you. Because once you make a copy of this template, you can edit it and do whatever you want to it. So then calls, this is like, and you want to consider what is your funnel. If you have people going from a DM to an invitation link where they then schedule a call with you, you're going to also track how many calls were actually scheduled on each day. So on today, you know, July 22nd, maybe I reached out to 30 people in a day. That's including my follow-ups. I sent out 5 links, and I ended up having 2 people book a call. And maybe I made 0 sales because we're still going through the process, right? You can see as I put in the metrics, it's going to change these values here, which is going to show you, okay, I'm having a 40% rate of people watching the video to booking a call. That is really good to have 40% of people, you know, booking a call after watching the video or signing up for the class, right? And then you can see how many DMs do you need to send out to get 1 call booked. So it's taking 15 messages to get 1 call booked. That's decent, right? Same thing. How many DMs do I need to send out to get consent to send people the link, the freebie, the masterclass, right? So this will, you know, show you what what you might need to tweak, right? Is it the DM to the video that I'm having, a hard time with? Is it getting people from the video to a call? Is it from getting people from the call to a sale? And you can see kind of where you might be dropping off in your process. So this over here is for if you are doing calls, like a discovery call or a sales call with somebody. You would put in their name, and then you would put the date that you have the call with them. Where did they come from, Instagram or Facebook? And if you have different platforms, you can always, add more in here. And did they show up to the call? You have yes or you have no. So then if you have people showing up to the calls, okay, within this process, from getting people from the video to the call, this is how many people are actually showing up to the call. Or you can see who didn't show up to the call. Okay, I know I need to follow up with them. You can also track this in your CRM database to keep it all in one place, but I wanted to at least add this as well so you guys have a visual, and you can track it in here as well. Okay, does that make sense? Do you have any questions on how to use this tracker?
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Go ahead and delete this. Boop. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions, reflections, takeaways, aha moments that you would like to share? How are you guys feeling about the DM strategy that I just shared? Like, what comes up for you as I was talking about that strategy? Is there resistance? Is there excitement? Is there confusion, clarity?
I kind of like it. I think it's just interesting, just kind of reaching out to people, but also doing it in, I guess, an authentic way, and not just saying, because I've just seen so many times, hey, do you want this? And hey, do you want this? I'm like, I don't even know your name, and you're already asking me for something, so it's probably going to be no. Even if it is something that I want, I think it's just the way that you come off. And so I think that this is a nice way to, I guess, kind of interact with people and do it from a genuine place, and then actively like learn from them during the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love that you guys are feeling clarity and excitement. A little bit of resistance I see in the chat, which is totally understandable. But feeling, less overwhelmed having the system and the boundaries as well. Because, yeah, I mean, you could take any strategy, you could take any system and make it like icky for people, right? But you could take any system, any strategy, and make it really positive as well. It's like the whole thing with social media. It can be used for evil, or it can be used for impact and good work, which is what we're here to do. So I love that you guys are having clarity with this, because this kind of strategy can definitely bring up resistance. And I also want to note that you guys will likely meet resistance with this strategy, even though you're coming from an authentic place, because some people see a DM from someone they don't know and they're just immediately shut down. They're just immediately like, no, I'm not interested. And you will get that. And so rejection is something that actually becomes easier through this process, I've found. Because one day you'll be getting all these no's and your ego's a little bruised, and then the next day you log on and you've got all these yeses. I'm so excited. And I have found that the yeses greatly outweigh the no's. And the no's that I get are just not, it's just not meant to be. Like, we're not in alignment. There's not a resonance there. And the people who I am meant to connect with and who are meant to connect with me, we find that resonance. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as you start implementing and testing out this process. You're going to hit resistance. You're going to hit people who say no. And that is sales. That is running a business. That is being an entrepreneur. That is being a human being. And so it's great practice also for getting comfortable with resistance, getting comfortable with rejection. The more comfortable we can get with receiving a no and letting it just roll off of our shoulders because we know it's not meant to be, the more bold we can get in asking for what we want and showing up for ourselves, for our businesses, showing up and actually selling what we're offering without that fear of rejection, without that fear of failure. So this is really great practice for that as well. Awesome. Yay! Are you guys feeling excited? I'm feeling excited. This has been such a sweet day connecting with you guys. I hope that this has been super valuable for you. I want to just really congratulate you guys as we wrap up day 1 for showing up and for being present throughout this whole call, for soaking in all this information, because it is a lot of information. And we've done some deep work together, exploring some deeper layers of ourselves. And so as you go about the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, I want to encourage you guys to really visualize and feel in your body, what would it feel like to make these authentic connections on social media? What would it feel like to show up on social media knowing that I am trusting myself, that I am honoring myself and my boundaries, that I am coming into this with integrity? Like, how would that feel for you to really have fun creating content, to wake up to new leads coming into your DMs every single day, to be responding to those messages and saying, yes, I want it? How would that feel? Hold that vision, visualize it, and tomorrow we're going to go deeper into the content creation piece of all of this. So it's going to take everything we've discussed today and we're going to bring it into some actionable ways that we can actually create and have fun and speak to the audience that we're connecting with through this DM strategy, because it's super important to have that clear messaging the whole way through. You're sending DMs to people, it's your voice, this is what you would say, you're inviting people, and then they go to your page, they look at your content, and they get